What's up, everyone? Danny here from Axie Studio, here again to give you big news that you do not want to miss on Origin. That is our next Axie milestone that we're all anticipating. So, again, not selling you anything at all. This is just bringing you news in condensed TLDR form. The Twitter Spaces yesterday running over an hour. I want to give you that, save you some time, give you my thoughts and analysis and key takeaways, right? Let's get into it. I mean, pros and cons, people. There were some great questions from the community, but I wish there was a bit more detail. Yeah, but again, trying to bring you balanced views. Let's get into the bad news or potential things that make me nervous. And we're going to start with the scale out plan that was presented by Uptick. So everyone knows that Axie Infinity has brought Uptick on to help them grow the user base with user acquisition, and they really laid out what they're doing, albeit at a high level. What they're really doing is experimenting with what would work in terms of growing the user base on a cost effective method, or one that's net positive, right? And so from listening to everything, it sounds like they're still experimenting based on their experience, of course, but experimenting with avenues that would work to grow the user base, and then from there on they would scale it out. Now, the thing that got me super nervous, and I'm still a little rattled from it, is that they want to focus on gameplay, right? Gameplay away from play to earn. If you've been in this space, like me, play to earn is a huge part of Axie Infinity, right? Again, not to sound like another cash hungry grabber, it's not. It's being pragmatic and real about things. So unless you have a super solid game, if you're focusing on gameplay without the play to earn aspect, it makes me nervous as to how much you're going to attract to the game. Now, I say that in the context of how Origin is looking so far in terms of our sneak peek. So this is, the latest Origin here. This is, I didn't mean to zoom in, but let's zoom in. Why not? This is what it looks like. It's got more flavor and color than what we're playing with right now in terms of V2, but overall it's still a card game. It's still this kind of dynamic here. So maybe we need to test it, right? I'm going to keep an open mind here. Maybe we need to test it. Maybe gameplay is super fun, but it just off the top of my head, I'm comparing it to something like Clash Royale that's open years ago, where you have battle integrated with the characters, where you can just click and drag it. It's a lot more dynamic. It's a game. It feels like a game rather than something like this where it's more card based and Hearthstone. Maybe we're all over it. Maybe I got to keep my mind open that I've been in it and I'm used to it. So maybe I've adjusted and this might appeal to a user base, but that makes me super nervous. I know a lot of us play this liking it with the play to earn aspect. So I really hope it works for everyone's sake, but as far as I know, I feel like there's going to be more experimenting needed, and the key takeaway from that is growth is probably going to be delayed, right? And the uptick in what we're going to see from Origins is going to be slower than we hoped it to be. That is the primary takeaway there. Alrighty. That is my biggest concern from listening to everything. Again, trying to be balanced. Again, if they went into more detail, they talk about this buying model, this correlated organic uplift and the K factor. They're measuring halo effect. I mean, that's just like an externality in economics as well. And the deepest example was saying, well, if we spend $15 to acquire a character, we want to be able to generate more value than that if that was spent on a premium character. Well, I wish you went through a bit more detail than that, right? What does that mean? The average player spends $177 on a game in traditional gaming. You didn't even talk about that. You didn't talk about what target countries what countries you're targeting, sorry, and then it's details on particular avenues. But I understand timing's constrained, or they don't want to leak it. They still want to test things out, because if it doesn't work, then a lot of us are going to crack onto them. So completely get it. Onto the positives, right? On the positives, at least they're still focusing on growth, which is great. And I think Quinn probably mentioned that they're at the forefront, right? They're talking to Apple, they're talking to traditional companies and figuring out what is the best way to load up Web3 crypto blockchain gaming on them. They are going to be the first, and first mover advantage is huge. I know if I was in Apple's position, obviously I want to try and figure out the way to get more onto it. What's the best way that could benefit Apple as a company, its stockholders? But still, if you are the first mover onto the market, Axie is still in the lead compared to other games. That is a big advantage, and we've got to see how that plays out. So at least there's a focus on growth. Growth is good for all of us. The other thing, they're focusing on growth. Now they're focusing on, with the gameplay, targeting people that would be interested in the gameplay, right? Again, going to the cons, if it doesn't work out, oh well, we got to go back to the drawing board. But if it does, let's say it does, and we get new gamers, where they're going to be from? Well, it sounds like they're targeting people from more developed nations, right? So people in the US, in Canada, certain parts of Europe, UK. This is not meant to be discriminatory. It's the truth, speaking the truth, where people might have more capacity to spend on the game. So maybe it's layering, maybe it's strategic, that they're building it up, ease you into the game, and oh hey, by the way, you can make money from the game. That's when we see the volume come in buying Axies, in breeding, in investing in Axie and its tokens, right? So that is a big plus for me in the long term. Right. The other thing that I mentioned, the Sky Mavis Creators Program, sounds like it's around the corner, 1 to 2 weeks away, right? There you go. That is a big leak there. How it's going to work is that they are going to possibly incentivize creators somehow. Again, this is where I wish there was a bit more detail, but they just dodged that question like like a chubby person dodging a salad. So they dodged it in terms of how there's going to be a reward. We don't know how it is. They're still figuring it out. My best guess is probably AXS and Ron to align incentives, right? And also, another educated guess is that is another avenue in which they're setting up for growth. They want the community to go out like a network effect to promote the game. So obviously, if I'm rewarded with access tokens by bringing in 3 other people, then I'm going to keep doing that. That person's going to keep doing that, and therefore we have exponential growth. If it works out, we'll see how that turns out when it comes out, what the rewards are. They obviously got to get the incentives right, as well as the economics of it right. Those are the major updates, guys. If I missed anything, or if you have a different interpretation, thoughts, please leave it in the comment. I'd like to hear it, because my brain is churning about thinking what the next moves are in terms of Axie for 2022, and then also what my moves are. Thanks, guys. I will see you in the next one. Catch you later.